Welcome to Unfolding Destiny. In today's video, we're going to talk about how to guarantee your success. Now, the fact is, it's very difficult to pursue your dreams when you don't have any evidence that you will be successful. What if you spent the next 10 to 15 years of your life pursuing an apparition, something that you believed in but never came to fruition? That can be a lot of time wasted. So I feel you. I understand your pain and your frustration. And so on one hand, if you go for it, if you go for your dream, there's a chance that you might be among the stars. But there's also the chance that you'll have sacrificed years of your life and now you're no better off than where you were when you started. And so maybe you should have gotten that degree. Maybe you should have pursued something that was more safe, a safer career that gave you the type of financial freedom that you needed to have side hobbies. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with pursuing a career, having financial stability. I think these things are great. But if you want to be among the legends, if you want to pursue something that has never been done before, then I gotta let you know, there really is no guarantee other than the action that you take. Now, paradoxically, it is within that action that there is a guarantee. Let me explain. So you have to understand that you don't have actual control over outcomes. You don't know what the future holds. And when I was growing up, I used to think so far into the future. I used to listen to all these success gurus who would say, oh, well, you have to plan out your future. You have to know what's going to happen 5 years into the future. You have to just get it really clear. But for me, when I mapped out my future, I used to think really far out. I used to think 10, 15 years out into the future. And I used to think to myself, all right, well then in that case, I'm going to become a neurosurgeon and I'm going to get a PhD in quantum physics. And it was interesting because I would think that far into the future, but then as I started taking steps towards that direction, I started to realize that those paths didn't quite resonate with me. So the fact is that it's really hard, next to impossible, to really know where you're going to be 10 to 15 years down the road, let alone 5 years, let alone 5 weeks. But what you can be is you can be directionally accurate. And what I mean by that is that you don't have to know exactly where you're headed, but you should have a general idea of where you want to be. So when I think about the future, I think about where I generally want to be, with the understanding that certain things and certain elements might change along the way. But that's totally okay. That's par for the course, because as you pursue your future, you also build out your narrative along the way. You don't know all of it immediately out at the onset. Sometimes it just takes a lot of guesswork, a lot of figuring things out, and that's just par for course. So how do you guarantee some level of success? And does it scare you that the fact is that your outcome might change along the way? And I don't think it should scare you. Remember, generally speaking, you should have a rough idea of where you want to go. The rough idea could be 4 to 5 years into the future. So let's say you want to get into the NBA. That's great. That should be your rough idea, but you shouldn't treat it as rough. I mean, if you're pretty clear about it, then make it your clear idea. Like, who am I to judge if you want to get into the NBA? But then the thing is, it's not the actual result that's going to get you there. It's not worrying about the result or the outcome, because you might be 10, 15 years away, especially if you're really young right now, from even having the possibility of entering the NBA. And that's just an example. It could be, you can apply to real estate, to any endeavor that you have in mind. The fact is, though, your outcome is built off of successful steps. Your outcome is built off of successful steps. So you have to make it about the action. And you have to fall in love with the actual action itself. Keep in mind that your feelings, they fluctuate on a regular. Sometimes they're up, sometimes they're down. And think about this. Let's extrapolate this idea to your deathbed. Someday in the future, you're going to die. And on that day of death, your feelings are probably not going to be all that different from how you feel now. There's going to be a mixture of regrets, a mixture of things that you're grateful for, and that's just the human experience. So you don't do things for the feeling that you're going to get as a result. As a matter of fact, if you focus on putting your happiness off into the future, then you're going to be too stifled and you're going to be too afraid to actually take action steps. What I want you to do is right now, bring yourself back to the present moment. Right now, bring yourself back into action. Release yourself from all the responsibility of holding yourself responsible for the outcome. You can't influence the outcome. I can guarantee you can do all the right things, and there's no guarantee that you will actually succeed. But then wait a minute, didn't I just start off this video with the idea that, well, this is how to succeed, how to guarantee your success? And there's a paradox here, which is if you generally know where you're headed, you can't still stay fixated on the outcome. Instead, you have to learn how to let your destiny unfold along the way, hence the name of this channel, by taking action. Take deliberate action. Bring yourself fully into the moment and take incredible action right now. Bring your energy, your mindset back into the present. And I want you to realize that a lot of your abundance comes from within anyway. When you do things out of a state of peace and love and happiness, and you bring it back to just the action itself, then you take action that's more aligned with your abundance mindset. Now, if you're worried about the future, if you're worried about the outcome, if you're worried, oh, what if I don't succeed? What if I will never make it? Well, then you're taking action based on scarcity. And so you're never really going to fully commit yourself because you think that there's a possibility of failure. Inside your mind, you've created the possibility that you will fail, or there's a possible plan B here, and there's a possibility that you're not going to succeed. And so you're not going to take the action that you need. Because, I mean, how inspiring is it to take deliberate action when part of you is focused on the failure of the possibility that you might not succeed? So forget that. Forget all failure. Just realize that you're directionally going where you want to go. You're going in the direction of your dreams, and you're going to go all in. Yeah, there is a chance that you might have to make a plan B, but don't worry about the plan B right now. Now, here's the paradox. If you're working a full-time job, keep your full-time job. That way, you're not worried about income after you clock off, and then you go home and you work your after hours and you focus on your dream. But the paradox is that ultimately, your dream cannot just be a side gig. Eventually, you're going to have to go all in on your dream. And that means that you might have to quit your 9 to 5. And so in that case, and you're not there right now, maybe you are, I don't know you personally, but in that moment, you'll know what to do. At some point, you have to realize that you're going to have to go all in on your dream. And that means different things at different parts of the journey. When you're just starting out, going all in means that you don't quit your job or you don't quit school. But after you come home from classes and after you've done your homework and after you've come home from work, whatever it is, then you go all in. You sacrifice all your other social activities and you just go all in on your dream. But at a higher paradigm, eventually it will also mean that you're going to be faced with the decision of going all in means, well, do I quit my job or do I do this part-time? And you're going to realize that at some point you can't just part-time your dream. So there's going to be many points of your journey when you're facing the unknown and the next step isn't fully the clearest. You don't know that if you take the step that you're going to succeed. But what I will say to you is that success has clues, and your habits are they lead to certain results. And if you give yourself 100% to something, to a goal, to an outcome, then even if you, and I hate to say this, but even if you fail along the way, it doesn't matter because those skill sets you've built up, well, they mean something. They help you produce value, and that skill set is transferable. So I'll give you the example of getting into the NBA. All right, you know what? You're right. The NBA takes only the top of the top of the top of the 1% of the 1% of the 1%. Okay, so now the odds are stacked up against you. But what happens? Let's just say your heart is drawing you towards that path, because only you know what your heart is calling you to perform. So you go ahead and you make it all about the action. You go 100% into the direction of your dream, and you decide to make it all about the NBA, and you make it in such a way where you go to practice every single day. You wake up at 4 a.m. and you go to practice before school, before work, and then afterwards. Like, you make it all about your action. Now, let's say you spend years on this, and for whatever reason, it still doesn't pan out. Well, you've gotten so good at your craft, hopefully that you've also developed some other skills along the way, which I know you have. I mean, it's not just ball handling. You probably learn how to network with other people. You learn how to communicate. You learn how to build a personal brand. Now you can possibly become a coach. Maybe you can start a YouTube channel, teach other people how to get to the level that you made it. Maybe you can become a sports analyst, a commentator. There's so many things that you can do, but you're not even going to get there to that level. You're not even going to have the opportunity for like a plan B if you don't go all in on plan A. You have to burn the boats. You got to just trust that at the end of the day, you just need to be generally accurate. You kind of just have to know, directionally speaking, where you're going to go and just go all in on that. Now, as you start to get feedback along the way, then you can course correct, you can adjust. As more data become evident to you, then you can also start to act on that data and you have more insight so you can make better decisions. But you cannot make those decisions in advance of your journey, in advance of taking action. And so this whole reality check has to become a personal check, has to be how committed are you to this journey. There's this famous saxophonist who said that when you make it about the music, then the music takes care of you. You have to just come back into your action, because the fact is that there are going to be days when life is tough, and there's going to be days when life is just easy, and it's a mixture of different things. Some days you're going to be very successful, you're going to have so many commissions coming in, you're going to have so many results, and some days you're going to have dry spells. There's going to be periods when you're just not going to have any success at all. The fact is that in all those moments, you still have to keep your action consistent, because the action that you take today plants seeds for tomorrow. So are you taking action for right now, or are you taking action for your future self? See, I have this hypothesis, and it goes like this. When you take action in the pursuit of your highest dream, the thing that you know to be the highest, greatest truth of yourself, then you can't fail. Now, how do you validate that hypothesis? Well, you have to test it out. And the way you validate and test it out is by going all in. Forget what other people say. This journey might take you 10 years. I mean, mastery takes 10,000 hours. But here's the beauty of it. When you go in the direction of your dreams and you pursue what you believe to be is true of you, the greatest reward really isn't even the outcome. It's the mastery of language that you have. You see, what I believe your purpose is not necessarily the skills that you learn along the way. It's the language that you learn. Your purpose is a language. Now, I'm not talking about like Chinese or English or Spanish. I mean, yeah, that could be the case if you're a linguist, but your purpose, when you pursue your purpose, you learn a certain narrative that is unique to you, and you learn how to express that through your own unique lens, and then you become charismatic, and then you start to draw other people to you. See, the fact is that as you pursue your dream, other people become drawn to you, and then you attract them because they love to hear how you communicate, how you express yourself. Even if it's not through word, it could be through your actions, such as an athlete, or maybe you are an actor. Whatever it is, you got to understand that there's so much success that's happened along the way that's not monetary, that it's not necessarily financial, but it doesn't matter, because you're mapping out your dreams, you're pursuing your identity, you're pursuing your future, and through that you become this charismatic individual, and you pump up that energy, and then people are drawn to you like a moth to a flame, because you've got that special touch, you've got that special presence about yourself that cannot be bought, it cannot be bartered with, or cannot be bargained with. You are your authentic self. But in order to become that authentic version of yourself, you have to mold yourself into that person who does not capitulate, who does not surrender, and it goes all in into the direction of your dream. So that's the way you want to handle it. That's how you got to take this. You got to go all in, and you got to trust that. For one, I hate to say that if it doesn't work. No, forget that. Forget that entirely. It will work, because every single step of the way you get feedback. And through that feedback, you get to become the best version of yourself. You get to become the best person who's pursuing and performing that action. Eventually, you're going to have to take a bigger bet on yourself. And guess what? As you continue to take bets on yourself and you don't capitulate, you don't surrender, you will eventually make it. You almost have to get to the point where there's only two outcomes. Well, two outcomes, that's it. Number one, you're going to die. Or number two, you're going to succeed. And eventually one of those things is going to be guaranteed. You will die at some point in your life, or you will succeed. But if you keep changing paths, if you keep not trusting yourself, let's just say you start taking steps in the direction of your dreams, but then you don't quite make it, you quit halfway and you pick the common path, well, guess what happens then? What happens is that you start to draw in people that you're not necessarily aligned with. Then you go to happy hour and you start to hang out with friends and they're not exactly motivated. Then you start pursuing relationships with people who are not as motivated as well. And you have this doubt inside your mind about, oh, what if I did this? What if I did that? And you don't want to be in that state of mind. You want to constantly be pursuing your dreams. And the evidence comes from taking full action. Surrender your attachment to anything that you cannot control. Make it 100% about the action. Go all in on yourself. And I promise you, as you start to take focused action steps, then your universe, your destiny will begin to unfold along the way. But it will not unfold in advance of you taking action. Your action is the purest form of intention. That's what's going to set you apart from everyone else. Everyone can sit inside and wish and just wonder all day long, but if you're taking action, that means action speaks louder than words. And if you take the right action consistently over time, you will succeed. Now, the paradox is, well, will you ultimately get what you set out to pursue? I can't guarantee that, because your journey will change you. Your journey will change you, and you're going to change your journey along the way. But as long as you stay focused on the general direction of where you're headed, and you're flexible in terms of altering and changing things up as you get more referential feedback, that's how you inevitably succeed. Because eventually what's going to end up happening is that 5 years, 10 years down the road, you're not going to be the same person that you are now. But if you take enough action along the way and listen to all the people that are there who are actually guiding you, look at the feedback, look at the actual results that you're getting along the way, that's how you start to become successful. But the true success starts from within. You have to realize that you need to become the person that does not capitulate. If you don't want to do the 9 to 5, then say, I don't do 9 to 5. Make it an identity level shift and hold yourself accountable to taking action. All right, now if you need help with this, I have a web class that I put together. It's completely free for you to attend. You can go there right now. Go to masteryouridenty.com. Go there right now, register for the web class, and you can actually enter it. Put your questions and whatnot in the chat box in that web class. I take a look at all the comments and I will respond. But go ahead. In this web class, you learn how to actually chart out your own destiny using 4 steps, which is number 1, understand. Number 2, build. Number 3, pursue. Number 4, integrate your identity. So go ahead, masteryouridenty.com. All right, thank you, and I'll talk to you soon.